Hello and welcome to Rex the Adequate Would-Be Chef. Tonight we're going fishy. We're cooking some halibut and we're going to do it with a white wine and tomato and herb sauce. We're going to cook that on top of it in the oven, and then we'll reduce that down into a sauce and add a little bit of butter and flour to it and hopefully make a really nice sauce just for the top of it. So come on with me, let's get fishy. Okay, so to start with this halibut, we're going to really need to prep our tomatoes. Now, I sort of fought with the idea of, do I want to go with a canned tomato that's already been sort of stewed and peeled? And then I thought, you know, I really want the freshness of the flavor, so I've really decided to go about it my own. I've got some vine ripened tomatoes, which should be plenty. Basically, the recipe here, if I can check it out really quick, is going to call for 3 pounds of fresh ripe red tomatoes. So this is going to be just shy of enough, but I think we'll be all right. What we're going to actually do is, if you can see behind me, I have a pot of boiling water. You want nice, fresh, firm tomatoes, and we're going to dunk these one at a time into the water and let them sit there for just 10 seconds. Then we're going to pull them out. Now, with that 10 seconds, we should be able to peel these pretty easily. Okay. Now, I didn't even really wash these there, and I even left the labels on, because the way I see it, they're just going to go right into the water and then come out, and I'm going to peel the skin off anyways. So what I'm thinking I'm going to get is just a nice spoon. We're going to ladle them in, count to 10 seconds, and go from there. So it's a nice hard boil. I have enough water so that the tomato should submerge completely, and I'm going to give it a good 10 count. That's it. Now I'm going to do all of them. Alright, that's the last one. So with that done, we can kill that boiling water, get that steam off the stove, because trust me, it's in the middle of summertime, and the last thing I want is more humidity in here. Now that our tomatoes have been boiled for 10 seconds only, they should peel very nicely. And then we're going to cut them in half, and we're going to try to juice them and get rid of the seeds by squeezing them, and then at that point we'll take the remainder and we'll chop those up. So you can already see here that right here it's actually starting to split. So hopefully, if what she said, the skin's just going to want to peel off, and it sure is. So we're just going to take all this skin off, and it does come off really nice and easy. You know, I bought these for years in the store, you know, and I never realized how this process was done. As you can see, there's one. I think that took me a whole 5 seconds maybe. I'm going to go ahead and peel these up, and when I'm done, I'll come back and get you. One thing I didn't show you was you definitely want to take this core out. So just cut around, and it should just pop right out. I have definitely learned the hard way. It's easier to do with the skin on than with the skin off. Check out this last one. Literally, I think I can just pinch it, and all the skin is going to come right off of it. So if you have a bunch of these to do, it really won't be that tough. Okay, at this point, we don't want to cut across the stem. We don't want to cut with the stem. We're going to go ahead and cut right through the tomato here. What that's going to do is that's going to reveal to us the seeds, and then we're going to take it and we're going to lightly squeeze it, and as you can see right there in the bowl, out comes all the seeds. And and it doesn't hurt. You can get your fingers in there a little bit and help these things out as well. A lot of times for recipes that call for like stuffed tomatoes, this is the procedure that you're going to want to do, and just do each one till all the seeds are out. Excellent. I'm going to go ahead and finish these up. Don't worry, I'll keep recording in case I cut off a finger. I know you guys wouldn't want to miss any action. When I'm done, I'll come back, we'll chop these up and keep going. Okay, so now we basically juiced and seeded all of the tomatoes. Here's all the juice and the seeds in the bowl, and we're left with just a nice shell of the tomato, which is what you want. Now at this point, we're going to just go ahead and we're going to chop all these up, and we can start cooking. So as you're probably aware, with a nice sharp knife to cut, you want these fingers like this. You want to put your thumb in the back when you're cutting something round, and you can use your thumb to push it while you go down and cut. Another way when you're chopping is you can hold your knife like this. And get a nice chop that way as well. We're going to finish these up. Okay, we're going to get to the stove. Okay, so the piece of fish I have is a really bit smaller than what we want. We really want like a 3-pound fish. I am going to go ahead and do a full dose of the topping, so hopefully it'll all even out. Basically, you're going to want to, I already told you that you want about 3 pounds of fresh ripe red tomatoes. You're going to want 1 cup chopped onions. I can definitely tell you how to do those. Watch some other videos. You've seen me chop onions in the past. We have approximately 4 to 5 tablespoons of olive oil. What we're going to do is use that to sear the fish and to cook the vegetables for a bit. I have a tablespoon of butter, a tablespoon of flour to make a paste mixture that's going to go into the sauce at the end. We've got 2 cloves of minced garlic. We've got a 1/4 teaspoon of pepper. It calls for a 1/4 teaspoon of salt. I'm using kosher salt, so basically when you use a kosher salt, you should usually use a bit more. So I've doubled it to make sure that you're getting the right flavor on that. I also have a 1/2 teaspoon of oregano and a 1/4 teaspoon of 1/4 teaspoon of thyme. And yeah, that's really it. We are going to use a little bit of tomato paste here. I got this down at my local imported market. This is from Italy. It's supposed to be some pretty good stuff. Just going to give it a little bit more flavor. Now, okay, at this point we're going to go ahead and start cooking our halibut. Now, she says to use the olive oil, put it into a skillet on the stove with some really hot olive oil. Now, unfortunately, she doesn't really give us a temperature setting. She just says really hot. So really hot to me is on high, and that's where I have it on. Now we're just going to put this halibut in, and we just want to brown it on each side. I'm not cutting it up. It's about yay so big, you'll see in a sec. So we're just going to try to cook it as one piece, because this is going to cook quicker than the normal recipe. So I'm a little bit concerned about overcooking the fish. But let's go ahead and pour in our olive oil. Alright, olive oil's in the pan, and we're just going to let it get nice and hot. Another thing I'm doing, if you can see off to the side here, is I'm trying to work a second camera in. I think it's going to A, make it quicker for me to record these videos, but B, I'm able to talk to you here, and then we can go straight to the stove side and you can see what I'm cooking. It's starting to bubble. I don't want to burn it too much, so let's go ahead and let's put this halibut on. Now the whole purpose of this is just to brown it. We're not really trying to cook it too much, so I want to make sure. Woo, poppy pop. And it is sticking, which is unfortunate. I don't want it to stick. if it sticks to the bottom of the pan, what's the point of browning it? Because all the brown will just be on the bottom of the pan. It's unfortunate. It's not really browning at all. I'm really concerned, but it is cooking it. So I'm just going to cook it a little bit on each side. Maybe the oil wasn't hot enough, but as you can hear behind me, I think it is. It's got grease in the eye. Be very careful with grease. Fish is sort of wet, so it's going to naturally make the grease pop. Okay, so I've got hot grease in the eye. It didn't really brown, it was just cooking it. So it probably works better with swordfish. I didn't want to overcook my halibut. I have removed it, put it into the baking casserole dish. I've also turned the oven on to 350 degrees and preheating that. Now at this point, in the grease that we currently already have here, that we just sauteed the fish in, we want to slow cook these onions. And you don't really want to brown them, so again, just a nice slow cook. Probably going to take about 5 minutes or so. One part of the ingredients of this is a white wine. I'm using the 2009 Chateau Ste. Michelle. It's a dry Riesling. You definitely want dry. She says Riesling will be good. The nice thing, obviously, about cooking this wine is that you get to drink with wine as you're cooking. So that's always a plus. So if you can, my personal recommendation is to try to cook with dishes that require some type of alcoholic beverage within them. Well, as luck would have it, I ran out of my memory card on my other camera. So you're going to get a lot of me talking and a little bit of you see some of the cooking. I'll make sure somehow, I'll probably just end up bringing this camera around in a second and we'll finish up from there. But the onions are done, they're tender. At this point, I'm going to go ahead and put in all of the tomatoes and all the herbs. That includes the garlic. Just right in with the tomatoes there. And we're going to go ahead and cook this, slow cook it again for another 5 minutes. As you can see, we've got a nice slow cook on this. I've added in all the tomatoes and we're getting a nice good mixture going. At the end of the 5 minutes, I'm going to taste it. We'll correct the seasonings for salt and pepper, and then we're going to take it and we're going to put it right on top of the fish. Okay, now we're just going to take all of this and pour it right over our fish without busting. There it goes. Just like that. Now, you want to bring this over here, and we want to bring this up to a simmer in this pot. Once we have a simmer happening here, I'm going to cover it, put it in the bottom third of the oven. I have it at, excuse me while I get comfy. I have it at 350 degrees. However, the rub here is that's for tuna, and halibut's going to cook a lot quicker. She says cook it for approximately, let's grab the book of all things here, and she said cook it for 15 minutes. At that point, after the 15 minutes is up, she wants us to pour in a cup of the white wine. I'm probably going to go, let's say, probably going to go about 10 minutes, and then I'm going to pour in the white wine. Because once she says you pour in the white wine, she wants you to bake it for another 30 minutes. However, she says at the bottom that halibut only requires 20 to 30 minutes of baking. So we're going to say around, let's go 7 to 10 minutes on the initial temperature. We're going to drop it down to 325, drop in the wine, probably cook it for another 15 minutes, pull it out, see if we're flaking, and we'll go from there. Okay, the fish is almost done. It's about to beep and come out of the oven. At this point, we're going to pull it out. Like I said, I'm pulling this out a little bit soon. We're going to go ahead and put in a cup of the white wine, and then we're going to continue cooking the fish. Now, we're going to need to monitor this because once you add the wine, once it begins to simmer, we want to drop the heat down to about 325. So we're definitely going to have to try to keep an eye on that. And then cook it for the remainder, probably 15 minutes or so. There's our timer. Let's get down to the stove and see what we got. At this point, I'm going to pour in the wine. There's a little bit up at the top as well. Look at that. Doesn't that just look delicious? At this point, she's going right back into the oven. Okay, so we have the wine in there. Let's give it like 5 minutes or so, and then we're going to check on it. And hopefully it's simmering. We can cut it down a little bit more. Probably bake it for another 10 minutes or so. Pull it out. We're going to check for flakiness on our fish. If we do have flakiness, we'll see. I got to transfer the fish then to a serving platter somehow without breaking it all up. And you put the sauce back in the thing. You'll see what I mean. Alright, it's been 15 minutes. Let's go ahead and pull this out of the oven, check for flakiness, and then at that point we'll continue on with the sauce and we'll get to eating this thing. Sure smells good. This is a really thick piece of fish, so we want to really make sure that, oh yeah, we're definitely done. Hopefully not too done. So at this point, we want to take all of this sauce off. I'm going to try to save this fish without it breaking apart on me. Very nice. You want to keep this warm. I'm just going to top. Here, I want to see what we look like here. Here's the fish. We're going to go ahead and put this in the microwave. We're just going to turn this on high. And we're going to start to boil this down. Really what we want to do is bring this thing down to approximately 2 cups of fluid. So that's going to be a lot of boiling. Okay, at this moment we're going to take about 2 tablespoons of a tomato paste and we're going to add this to the mixture for flavoring. Now she says you can use a and it's optional and I have opted not to do it, is a meat glaze for additional flavor. So being that I didn't even have a meat glaze, I did happen to have the tomato sauce. So we're going to work in this tomato sauce, let it simmer for about a minute. We're going to correct the seasonings, make sure we're tasting good. You see it, make sure it breaks up. Do you see where it wasn't breaking up there? Make sure we get really good mixed in there. There we go. You just see it change color completely. She says to remove it from heat, so we're going to go off heat and just take it back one. And we've made a, taken that tablespoon of butter and a tablespoon of flour and we've mixed it together here. Oh, see that's, you guys missed that. Apparently it came off a little bit too good. You can probably see the splatter all over my stove. So, proper tools are always best so you can avoid stupid mistakes like that. And I like using these spatulas because even though it looks like that thing's pretty empty, that's a lot left. And it says to beat this in, so we will try to beat this in. It's changing colors completely. Okay, once that's mixed, one more time, we want to bring it back up onto the stove here. Bring it back to simmer for 1 minute. There you go. See how it's starting to simmer? That's good. Remember, a simmer is just a slight boil, so there's a pop that happened right there, a nice simmer going there. We're going to cook this up for 1 minute, and then 3 tablespoons of fresh chopped parsley. We're going to put it in there. We're going to mix it up, spoon it over our fish, and we're going to taste it. In goes the parsley. just like so. Good. At this point you can just take it off heat completely. Okay, we're ready to go. Now, this dish goes well with boiled potatoes and green beans. I didn't make either. I did do a little fresh baked type of baguette. I love fresh bread. Really good. So, as you can see, the sauce, it's creamy. It's on top of the fish. Smells good. As I feared, I overcooked the fish a bit, but it's not bad, and that sauce turned out really delicious. Excellent flavor. Definitely want a nice white Riesling with this. Always helps if you overcook the fish. Wash it down with some good white wine. Thanks for watching. I hope you try this dish. You know, you might like it much more. I'm more of the strong flavors, the meat and potato kind of guy, but we got to do them all. We got to try them all. So thanks for watching, and remember to bon appetit. Bullseye, you ready to go eat? I am. Let's go.